want to. Yeah, I think you can hear me. Yes, you can hear me. So I'm gonna go on here. I'm actually gonna play a video by Richard Wolff on the whole Amazon thingy here. Let me try to screen share. Chrome tab. Here goes. Oh, good. Came out. Oversize. Okay. All right. Okay. Rewind this a bit. What? Okay. Oh shoot. I can't hear it. There's sound on?
This is
Oh
Richard
yeah.
Wolff from Democracy at Work with another Wolff Responds. I want to talk today about the defeat of the unionization drive at the Amazon warehouse and distribution center in Bessemer, Alabama. It's an important event, and the best way to handle it is to try to understand why it happened. And I'm not going to focus on the strategy and tactics of either side. I don't believe those were the key causes of the outcome. That is, I don't think Amazon was all that successful in what they did. I don't think the union was either.
So he's not going to talk about. Okay, we're going to listen to this.
Both had their strengths and weaknesses, and the outcome was not determined by either of what they did in terms of strategy and tactics. I think the outcome was foreordained. That
Yeah.
it was determined by larger cultural, historical understandings that the workers in that area brought to that vote and to that unionization drive.
Okay, I wonder if people understand what he means from here. From that point right there. Hold on. Because right there, he's actually talking about a type of materialism. Materialism is a type of analysis from anthropology. And I think he's coming from both cultural materialism and historical materialism, some of historical materialism. Historical materialism is not so great because there can be some stuff off on it, but it's still a good guiding point to understand, to kind of understand what is kind of happening today. And also there's cultural materialism and understanding the society, the dynamics between society and economics, and basically belief systems. Kind of brought up through history too. So rewind a little bit here. Oh, damn. So go back here. We'll listen to this. Oh, man. Now, we have to understand this stuff.
And the outcome was not determined by either of what they did in terms of strategy and tactics.
None and no side.
The outcome was foreordained. That it was determined by larger cultural, historical understandings that the workers in that area brought to that vote and to that unionization drive. I think what has become the common sense of workers in general and workers in the South particularly were the deciding factor. And let me explain what I mean. Americans are born into a particular society which has general rules.
Hear this. Right here, he seems like he might land more on a thing which you call cultural materialism. Cultural materialism is not something brought up by Marx. Cultural materialism is something that came up from another person. Materialism itself is an anthropological work that you can use to help you guide you on analyzing certain situation. But right here, I think he's going more on under the concept of cultural materialism. And plus, yeah, another thing, Marx didn't come up with materialism. So they from Feuerbach, a person named Feuerbach, who's an anthropologist. But we'll go on from here. Let's listen.
In how it teaches them in their schools, in their homes, in their churches, and as they watch and engage with mass media. And that general set of ideas becomes what you might call common sense, the way people think the world works, and on the basis of which they make decisions like voting in a unionization election. Long ago, corporate America understood the importance of shaping common sense.
Mm-hmm.
They spend huge amounts of time and energy and personnel to shape what we hear and see in the mass media, what we hear in the church pulpit, what we get in our schools, and what our parents and friends talk to us about.
You see, yeah, he's actually talking about cultural materialism. And the corporations have shaped our thinking pretty much. If you analyze what's going on today, the corporations have shaped many people's thinking, even infiltrated the minds of the left within leftist society, whether they see it or not. Basically, we're kind of like scabs in a way without knowing. He's going to get to that, I bet you anything, because that's part of the analysis. It's seeing the whole society, the whole picture of the society and why society goes in a particular direction. By using these concepts of materialism, he's not saying materialism, but that's what he's doing. He's actually coming from a materialist point of view, but he's not using those words. He's giving simple language too. Okay, he's a professor, so he knows how to explain this very simply, just right out his mouth too. You know.
Nothing comparable happens on the other side. There is no parallel flow of money, people, creativity, ingenuity into presenting the critique of corporate capitalism, the possibility of what society could do with unionization. In Europe, that exists. There is a long developed critique of capitalism enshrined in common sense, because they have power.
You hear that? The reason why Europe has it, because Europe has been doing this for a long time. It doesn't matter if they are a capitalist government or a socialist government. There's something unique happening in Europe. There's movements, and also the mentality is very different. And also, we don't even know within Europe, the different countries that may call themselves socialist or capitalist, we don't know which is more socialist. The way you can measure that is by how much socialist market systems have been placed within that country. Okay. When I say socialist markets, I mean actual co-ops, not socialist markets of the state controlling it as a capitalist. So, and plus that's not a socialist market. So that's a different type of socialist structure that takes a position of a capitalist. But right here, Europe is very different than the United States. By this video is literally just 6 minutes long, or like 7 minutes long, and it has so much in it. I seen this earlier and I just had to come on here and play it, and then I will describe it more, and then we'll watch the thing again. It's just a 6.5 minute video, and it's so packed in with so much in there. Like if you understood like these different, if you have skimmed through all the studies and all this stuff, you don't have to fully read it. You'll get the idea and all that stuff. And then from there, you start to study, and you can analyze things better. But if you went through all the studies, you will understand where he's getting at, what he's saying and stuff. And right now, still people, I'll tell you right now, here in America, even if they call themselves leftists, they're still messing up because there is a lack of organizing thought. There's a lack of understanding or studies, and there's a lack of analysis. We're just very pessimistic. We don't know how to build this collective power or organization to build class consciousness. We're very pessimistic. We give up fast. And the reason why is here, we will see. He may explain here why we have that particular energy that we carry. And this has to do with materialism, understanding materialism and using a scientific approach to look at things. Okay?
Powerful socialist, communist, and anti-capitalist movements.
Oh, let me rewind this a little bit.
Parties
Let me rewind this.
Often are
This is about Europe.
enshrined in common sense.
Yeah.
Because they have powerful socialist, communist, and anti-capitalist movements, political parties, who often are part of governments.
Oh.
Nothing like that exists in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why unions exist in Amazon facilities all over Europe.
Okay, you hear that? So over there, socialists support their political members on the inside, okay? Unions are like organizations that work from the outside. So you have inside and outside work. You got syndicalism, you got political personalities that work with the syndicalism, okay? But when that thing is split, you cannot build union power. You can't, because you're losing ground in some corners of the area. Basically, a socialist action should be covered to all ground, a diversity of tactics to empower the workers. Part of that is building dual power. We'll get to that later. Okay, so right here he says, in Europe, all over Europe, there's unions all Amazon. You know why? Because they're highly conducted. Okay, they're highly organized. They're not looking for perfection from each other or from even other politicians. They keep working and acknowledging even their own mistakes, not canceling out the organization or the work that needs to be done just because one little thing or one little quote. They don't do that in Europe. They got way too much experience to be falling for like pessimistic stuff. We're going to see the difference between the United States and Europe. Maybe Richard Wolff will explain a little bit here. I'll explain about dual power later too, how it's going to be very beneficial.
Exists in the United States. And that's why unions exist in Amazon facilities all over Europe, and always have, and have no threat coming down to get rid of them either.
Wow.
So we need to do what we haven't done.
Mm-hmm.
We need to intervene in public discourse, schools, media, churches, conversations, systematically, all the time, like the other side does.
Oh, this is almost sounding like dual power, like a secondary power, a powerhouse. Very interesting. Maybe he is getting into a dual power type of thought, but not saying the word dual power, just like he didn't use the term materialism when he started off. But what he's more focused on here is more cultural materialism than the dialectical or historical materialism. So just to give more of a better idea.
So that common sense is a much more balanced affair and can actually look at the arguments pro and con for a union with something like a balanced understanding of what's at stake. In Europe, the unions themselves do some of that, as indeed unions in the United States try with limited resources to do some. But in Europe, they have a partner. Yeah, those socialists, those communists, those anti-capitalists all over the place are the partners of the labor movement, doing the important work of shaping public common sense, shaping what happens on television, on the radio, in the church,
Ooh.
at school, and so on.
He mentioned media. Media is an important thing and one of the most powerful weapons within society. Even the Cuban Revolution has acknowledged that media was the most powerful weapon they had. That's very interesting. But how do we do this? How do we get there?
The United
Also,
States labor movement has no such partner. It did once in the first half of the 20th century. But after World War II, with the Cold War, a split was engineered
oh,
by the corporate sector.
okay. This is good. He's getting somewhere. So after World War II, socialist movements were really strong within the United States. Really freaking strong. Okay. But after World War II, a split started happening. What is this split about? If people understand what it is, this split was about the socialist, communist, anti-capitalist splitting from the labor movement, making them somehow a pessimistic group of people, always complaining, yelling, probably yelling at the labor movement or workers. That's not enough. You need to ask for a big state or a full-on revolution. What happened here in the United States that we became highly disorganized, kind of like almost like on a level of scabs? Okay, I just got to say this. But what happened? What happened? Okay, this happened, and after World War II, why is Europe stronger? And why is the US weak as hell? And are the leftists that play the purity games, right? They were very pessimistic. They follow through with this split, okay? They follow through with this split. And this is what's going on, I think, within the United States. Richard Wolff right here is saying something very specific and trying to help awaken people's mind, all right? You know, all this fucking bullshit, purity politics, revolutionaries, fucking anarchists. What the fuck, dude? Like, some of these are like, people are unhinged out there and forget to work with the syndicalists, people that work with mutual aid like Food Not Bombs or nurses organizations. I don't see people post like this. I see there's people post genuine stuff. They're out there in protest or they talk about the work they do. It's very simple, you know, saying with whether it's nurses organizations, Food Not Bombs and stuff like that. But there's a lot of pessimism that I see, a lot of just haggling, keep attacking the politicians that have more, so that will back up the labor movement more, where it can help build the labor movement into a bigger organization. Basically, even in itself, we have to build dual power, and that dual power also will help back up even people that you need to back up on the other side. So you got the inside and you got the outside. Nothing ever works from the inside by itself, and nothing ever works from the outside by itself. Now we have to learn how to be honest and really have a good analysis of what's going on around us. Materialism kind of helps with these kind of things, okay? Then we got dialectical. Dialectical is like adding the idea to materialism. So it's like synthesizing idealism with materialism and stuff like that. So that's another thing.
And working with the government. A split of the political left from the labor movement. Very useful way of having a Cold War. And that split meant that the labor movement lost its natural partner. The people, the movements, the parties, the social activists who could have and would have and should have been the partner that could change the national discourse, give criticism of corporations equal opportunity to make their case, to give explanations of what unions can do, have done, and could do an equal place, which they have not had for the last 75 years. So here's my response. Learn from the Amazon mistake. Rebuild the alliance that corporate America smashed. An alliance between a labor movement that needs all the help it can get and an already rapidly growing progressive, leftist, sometimes socialist.
Yes. So you see how he said that? He said progressive, leftist, sometimes socialist, because there's some progressives out there that are very leftist. Me, I'm more concerned with leftist unity. I'm not into purity politics. I don't care if you consider anarchists or Marxist leftists, Marxist Leninists as the most best left. I don't care about that. I care about leftist unity. Okay, leftist unity to build a very good organization, a very good organized way to move forward. Okay, people in the United States even forgot what left unity is. It has nothing to do with just only Marxist Leninists and anarchists. It has to do with all leftists, all leftists. Okay, the purity politics, the freaking ideologies that people hold, creating dogma, is what separated us from the labor movement that Richard Wolff was talking about that happened after World War II. Somehow it was done well and orchestrated well here in the United States. And he is saying that the corporations assisted that. Like if they put money into creating that situation within media also. You might say, oh, I'm not caught up by media or anything. And I don't watch any of that. Yeah, maybe true. But the thing is, you're still caught within this society, within this culture. When you look into the studies of cultural materialism, it will kind of bring things into light. You see? Bring things into light. I don't care. You say, oh, I'm so free. I'm so anarchist. Oh, I'm so Marxist Leninist. I'm so. That's where they want you at anyways. They don't want you to have a good analytical look at things. They don't want you to have a form of unity with the working class. Okay, they want a split between politicians and people in the streets working on syndicalism and municipalism even. That's what they want. And you are, a lot of people is fulfilling that need still, even within media and even within social media, prolonging the drama that came after World War II. See? This is what's going on in the United States. This is why I get frustrated with a lot of shit. It's like, okay, cool. You're so cool, leftist. And then they'll turn around and call you a fucking statist. It's like, really, dude? Like, do you have a fucking job? Do you really care about your life? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you're some privileged fool egging on the corporate media of America. I'm sorry. I just had to do that little thing. But I'll stop from there. But let me play this. Maybe let me rewind it again a little bit more. We're going to hear this real fast, and we get a good idea.
Split meant that the labor movement lost its natural partner. The people, the movements, the parties, the social activists who could have and would have and should have been the partner that could change the national discourse, give criticism of corporations equal opportunity to make their case, to give explanations of what unions can do, have done, and could do an equal place, which they have not had for the last 75 years. So here's my response. Learn from the Amazon mistake. Rebuild the alliance that corporate America smashed. An alliance between a labor movement that needs all the help it can get and an already rapidly growing progressive, leftist, sometimes socialist mass movement, political, ideological, social. Rebuilding that alliance is the best possible way to take something positive from the defeat of the Amazon workers in Bessemer, Alabama. This is Richard Wolff for Democracy at Work.
So see, there you go. He even explained the problem in Alabama is that it's literally a very right-wing area. Okay, I'm gonna put this right here like this. Push it on stop pause. Now, because I paused this so many times, we're gonna just hear it clearly. But right here, the cultural materialism in Alabama is very heavy on a particular beliefs, and the reason why most have voted, probably more have voted against the unionization is in Alabama. He says this. Okay, Richard Wolff talks about this, and then he talks about the split that has happened, that was worked on through media and conditioning people's thought patterns after World War II. This is the part where it takes a lot of analysis, and then after those analysis, the self-crit comes in. But I'm talking about real self-crit, not self-crit like, oh, I'm emotional, blah, 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 blah. None of that shit, none of that stuff. I'm talking about actual self-criticism to understand how we can move forward and how we can organize together. That's what we were supposed to do, but we got lost. We're so edgy, we're so pessimistic, we're so doomer that we don't organize no more, or we're constantly needing to talk shit within our own leftist circles. We have no leftist unity. Because people forgot what that is. Literally. It has nothing to do with just Marxists, Leninists, and anarchists to groups. No, it has to do with a wide variety of leftism and ideologies and ideas. We can even build a synthesism if we have to create a strong, organized movement. But people are highly dishonest. People are too dogmatic. People are too ideological, pinned to their own stuff to feed the addiction of pessimism and edginess or whatever that the corporate media have conditioned society into ever since World War II. That is what's really going on. But people ignore that. I don't even know if people are studying. Like if they, okay, there's no organization maybe. And then I don't even know if people are truly studying or being honest with their researches or studies when they look into leftist thought. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a trip. This is what's wrong with the United States. It's just the United States is a trip. So we're going to play this video again. Listen from beginning to end. It's just 6.5 minutes long. And I'm just going to stay quiet through the whole video. And we're going to hear everything he says. And it's going to be clear. This guy's a professor. And he's not even using like fancy words or explaining like things in details. He's talking to people in society, workers. This guy is like good. This guy knows what he's talking about. Like if you understand a lot of leftist thought stuff, you can hear his language, his ways, his expression. I'm going to play it and I'm going to stay quiet.
This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work with another Wolff Responds. I want to talk today about the defeat of the unionization drive at the Amazon warehouse and distribution center in Bessemer, Alabama. It's an important event, and the best way to handle it is to try to understand why it happened. And I'm not going to focus on the strategy and tactics of either side. I don't believe those were the key causes of the outcome. That is, I don't think Amazon was all that successful in what they did. I don't think the union was either. Both had their strengths and weaknesses, and the outcome was not determined by either of what they did in terms of strategy and tactics. I think the outcome was foreordained, that it was determined by larger cultural, historical understandings that the workers in that area brought to that vote and to that unionization drive. I think what has become the common sense of workers in general and workers in the South particularly were the deciding factor. And let me explain what I mean. Americans are born into a particular society which has general rules in how it teaches them in their schools, in their homes, in their churches, and as they watch and engage with mass media. And that general set of ideas becomes what you might call common sense, the way people think the world works, and on the basis of which they make decisions like voting in a unionization election. Long ago, corporate America understood the importance of shaping common sense. They spend huge amounts of time and energy and personnel to shape what we hear and see in the mass media, what we hear in the church pulpit, what we get in our schools, and what our parents and friends talk to us about. Nothing comparable happens on the other side. There is no parallel flow of money, people, creativity, ingenuity into presenting the critique of corporate capitalism, the possibility of what society could do with unionization. In Europe, that exists. There is a long developed critique of capitalism enshrined in common sense.
Yep.
Because they have powerful socialist, communist, and anti-capitalist movements,
all of them,
political parties, who often are part of governments. Nothing like that exists in the United States. And that's why unions exist in Amazon facilities all over Europe, and always have, and have no threat coming down to get rid of them either. So
Yep.
we need to do what we haven't done. We need to intervene in public discourse,
Yep.
schools, media, churches, conversations, systematically, all the time,
dual power.
like the other side does, so that common sense is a much more balanced affair and can actually look at the arguments pro and con for a union with something like a balanced understanding of what's at stake. In Europe, the unions themselves do some of that, as indeed unions in the United States try with limited resources to do some. But in Europe, they have a partner. Yeah, those socialists, those communists, those anti-capitalists all over the place are the partners of the labor movement, doing the important work of shaping public common sense, shaping what happens on television.
There you go,
on the
overtone
radio,
window.
in the church, at school, and so on.
The overtone.
The United States labor movement has no such partner. It did once in the first half of the 20th century. But after World War II, with the Cold War, a split was engineered by the corporate sector and working with the government. A split of the political left from the labor movement. Very useful way of having a Cold War. And that split meant that the labor movement lost its natural partner. The people, the movements, the parties, the social activists who could have and would have and should have been the partner that could change the national discourse.
Yep.
Give criticism of corporations equal opportunity to make their case, to give explanations of what unions can do, have done, and could do
Yep.
an equal place which they have not had for the last 75 years. So here's my response. Learn from the Amazon mistake. Rebuild the alliance that corporate America smashed.
Time to
An
build.
alliance between a labor movement that needs all the help it can get and an already rapidly growing progressive, leftist, sometimes socialist mass movement.
Leftist
Political,
unity.
ideological, social. Rebuilding that alliance is the best possible way to take something positive from the defeat of the Amazon workers in Bessemer, Alabama.
There
This
you
is
go.
Richard Wolff for Democracy at Work.
There you go. I just hope people understand this. There's a lot of people that follow Richard Wolff, but I just hope they can hear what he's saying. This is not about some people got to stop competing too much with ideologically, getting dogmatic, you know. And then when that happens, people cannot even see their mistakes to question what's going on because they're so blind. They're on a roll. They're driving too much. Hold on. Let me how do I do? I'm gonna quit this screen share real quick. What? Oh yeah, okay. So quit screen share. Yeah, so people are so ideologically too pinned in their stuff. I think it has to do with like fulfilling their some emptiness or ego needs because it's too much. It's too much, especially going on in media, and then it feeds into the social media. But I think it's because it has something to do with this cultural materialism that we're still stuck in it, right? Once we start to learn how to analyze things well, we start to have a good self-crit. And then we start to understand, like, I don't care what's the pure way to do it. I want to move forward. What is the plans? What are the material conditions today? How are we going to work on this or to the goal according to the material conditions we're dealing with today, basically? You see? Nobody's doing that. We're just like, bam, 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 smashing people, smashing our leftist comrades, whether they're imperfect, even imperfect, because guess what? Nobody's perfect. If you come in here to claim that you're perfect or that's perfect or this person's perfect, then you lost the fucking game. You lost the game because you're not looking at things or analyzing things well. You're just judging things and trying to fulfill some emptiness inside yourself. See? We have to work with people and leftists. I don't care of leftists if they're not leftists enough. Not all even leftists are full-on socialists even, okay? We all have different thoughts, but we all have a goal of supporting people. We all want to help workers. All of us have certain common goals. Not common goals with the populist right, that's for sure. But we have common goals. We're fighting each other. And then you got other guys in the media telling us to join with the populist right without talking about workers' empowerment. Ain't that a trip? So we're still getting affected. We're still getting affected. This is what I see. Okay. I don't think people are analyzing this. You know why people get so split? Because they're more concerned about the ideology or their own third party of some sort. So it's like fucking what? 50 third parties. They're all split, hitting each other because they want their party to be the party. That doesn't work either, dude. Like there got to be a form of unity and building. Okay. And that form of unity can support a particular candidate altogether too, or different candidates or multiple candidates that's sitting in the seats that are coming in because there's a movement building. But the thing is, we cannot repeat the mistakes of the past. We can't prolong this World War II conditioning or propaganda scheme that has conditioned society. This you can understand by understanding cultural materialism, not historical materialism, not dialectical materialism, but cultural materialism. Look into that. You'll see what I'm talking about. We have to get over this hump. I don't care how many leftists exist in the United States. If we don't get over this hump, we ain't gonna go nowhere. Nowhere. We're just a bunch of, oh my God, it's real bad. So now the next, what we gotta do is literally build dual power, creating alternative institutions for ourselves, our own media, our own organizations, build that dual power. One way that's easy to build dual power is to start within your local area, create, and through that dual power, start creating local assemblies, popular assemblies, and then you build. And through that building, you become literally a secondary power because you start putting pressure on the other power, okay? You're building this dual power, and you're also creating alternative institutions that will help. You're also creating a mutual aid program. One of the best things to do is create a mutual aid program, different types of mutual aid programs. That's what assists dual power big time. So with this dual power, you have all these people, and then you put pressure on the first power. And sometimes you have one of your own people from the dual power area or from your own local assemblies and stuff, get into the city councils, okay? And because you have this overwhelming buildup that you built, that you can put people in yourself through that dual power action, okay? This is like municipalist tactics, all right? So, but you still put pressure on all the politicians, and you support the person that you put in from your own local area. And it's easier to work on a local area because you know the person's imperfections, you're more well connected and everything. And so the perfection level on a local area is not gonna happen. It's not gonna all this heavy pessimistic, just constant shit talking, the whole full, like intense, like disconnect, right? There's no intense disconnect. You have a closer connection when you work on a local level. And through that, we learn something, okay? We learn something. And also look at Alabama. Alabama has a particular heavy cultural materialism that kind of leads into like this right-wing thinking, you know, and getting blinded by what's happening, really happening. Like the people that didn't vote for a union, they might lose their job. That Amazon moves out, and all those workers, all those 1,700 workers that not voted for the union, they're gonna go, "What happened to my job?" It's like, yeah, was the point of the union. You're more at risk than the capitalist. The worker is a lot more at risk of within their life than the capitalist. Okay. So basically, with this dual power, we build an education situation, our own media, and that's what can help shift things. We need to help shift. We can't be so bombarded by purity and ideological stances that you freaking stand on. I have my own ideological thing that I hold on to. And everybody knows this. This is social ecology and communalism, okay? I hold on to that because those are my concerns. But the thing is, I see things in a bigger picture because of particular dialectical methods that helped me out. I was weird. I'm gonna be straight. I was weird. I was like, oh, Mr. Hardcore, blah blah blah. I used to be like, I'm not even like this anymore. I'm more like, what can leftists do? What can we all do to move forward? You know, how can we transition? What are the ideas we can jump on? And then when we think these things, right? We start thinking, man, this whole divisive stuff is really actually bad. Even if we don't agree with certain things, it's really bad because the workers, the labor movement, they need us. Okay? They looking for help. And we're over here destroying each other. We find an imperfection, we use it, and we attack. We never do this towards the right wingers or the populist right. What the hell? Why are we praising populist right in media? Why are these people doing this? I think there's something going on, right? Even right now. But I think we have a chance because the socialist movements are growing. Progressives are growing. Okay? We all need to learn how to work together. This perfectionist stuff, looking for perfection, is not going to help us. You being addicted to your ideology or your ideological stance is not going to help us. Okay? So basically, we do need some form of scientific socialism so we can learn how our mind, that will teach our mind how to analyze. Then we can learn how to really play chess really well. Because there's a lot of bullshit going on out there. Oh, join the populist right. Everybody competing in third parties. Oh, this and that. It's like, holy shit, the divisiveness keeps going on. Is it worse divisiveness than what they started in after World War II or what? But even though we're dealing with all these challenges, I feel like we may have a chance still. This is I got a lot of that. Richard Wolff's video are so short, compact. He says so much in that. If you can see it, if you study stuff, like if you really truly study, and you don't have to read full books, you just gotta have honest study. You just gotta study honestly and move from there as a human, you know. A true human trying to protect itself and its society around them. Okay. And so I think I'm gonna get off. I just wanted to share that because this Amazon experience is something to look at, and we can learn from this. Because our pessimisms, our edginess, and all that stuff, it's not gonna help. It's just gonna give some scabs on our body of our movement. It's gonna have like, we have all these scabs picking and shit. Oh my God, dude. Right? We need to heal and have no more scabs. Okay? So that's all I wanted to say. I'm going back on. I'm not going to come back on Facebook. I wanted to put this part for Facebook, but I'm going back on Twitch and YouTube, and I'm just going to fucking roll on there over there because I like to associate with people on Twitch. Maybe I'm just going to go on Twitch. So I'm going to shut this session here now over here on Facebook. I just wanted to share that, and I'm just going to go on Twitch and stream because I like to stream on Twitch. I just talk shit and I game on there, and it's fun, and I connect with people, you know, in a different way than fucking Facebook. Is kind of weird, to be real, man. I've been kind of seeing certain differences, but yeah, I just wanted to come on here and express that. Oh shit. Hi Jay, how you doing? I don't know if you're still on here, Jay. Where am I getting pulled? Oh, the pulled and shit for playing music. Oh yeah, you could get pulled. Like some musics and videos are copyrighted, so you have to be careful. Richard Wolff stuff is fine. He don't have copyright shit on his things. He's cool. If you share his stuff and talk about it, I think he's cool with that. But you gotta be careful. Richard Wolff's face here is pretty hilarious. his face sometimes look funny. He's like powerful Pokemon turtle or something. Not just joking. So I'm gonna see you guys later. I'll talk to you guys later. I just wanted to express this. I wanted to share a Richard Wolff video. Look at it, understand it. We need to push for a democratization of the economy. We need to support candidates that will push for that, even if they have fucked up imperfections. I'm more worried about having a leftist unity to move forward than feeding into the divisive reality of what the US have. Europe doesn't have this problem. Okay, we need to move, we need to heal, we need to move forward. So I'll talk to you guys later. Peace, and see you guys again soon, some other time. I don't know when. All right, talk to you guys later. Love you guys. end stream. Yeah, press this, right?